Never let it be said that I'm the kind of drunken YouTube prick who doesn't stay the course. Whether it's getting another round in after throwing up and temporarily blacking out in the toilet, or reviewing a sci-fi show that's currently balanced on a knife edge between potentially decent and, well, something else. After giving my well-considered verdict on the first episode of Star Trek Picard last week, I figured it was only fair to give it another shot, because not every show hits the ground running. I mean, let's be honest, the first episode of TNG wasn't exactly a gripping piece of television. So I thought it might be interesting to see whether Picard manages to address some of the problems I spotted, or whether it descends further into dumb action scenes, rushed and contrived storytelling, and preachy moralistic diatribes. But as it turns out, it doesn't really do any of these things. That's not to say it fixes any of these problems, mind you. Instead, it just kind of avoids them, the same way I avoid checking in with my AA sponsor each week. Let's see you stage an intervention on this one, Brian, you dick. Instead, episode 2 of Picard introduces a whole bunch of new problems for me to apply my powerful intellect to. Let's explore this one together, shall we?
Make it so.
So just like the pilot, episode 2 begins with a flashback, this time to the terrorist attack on the Federation shipyards on Mars 14 years ago. A bunch of synthetics, are being used for low-level grunt work. Then one of them glitches out, lowers the planetary defenses, and kills everyone in the room before blowing its own brains out. Flash forward to the present day, and Picard is puzzling over the death of diverse female character, with strong female housekeeper and weak male housekeeper. Strong female housekeeper gets angry because Picard's like 90 years old, and probably needs help dressing himself in the morning, and now he's messing with a Romulan secret police unit. But anyway, he persuades her to help him because it turns out she used to be a Romulan intelligence officer with the Tal Shiar.
Who?
Wow, that's pretty convenient. Why is someone like that now cleaning Picard's toilets and making his bed for him? Why isn't she working for Federation Intelligence or running her own security company? Also, why is she Irish?
Cheeky feckers.
Feck off!
Ah, who the feck knows? So eventually, they go to diverse female character's apartment in Boston for a bit of CSI Picarding. It looks like all the evidence of the attack has been erased, but then strong female housekeeper pulls out a magical bullshit device that can reconstruct an event based on a single molecule of material left behind. And I'm not kidding, it plays out a hologram of diverse female character having a drink with diverse male character just before he got killed. What the actual fuck? How can you possibly reconstruct events based on a single molecule of evidence? Like, does every molecule in our bodies contain a complete record of everything we've seen and done and said? How and why? How does the device know to show the stuff that's directly relevant to Picard's investigation instead of something completely unconnected, like diverse female character watching TV?
That particular form of entertainment did not last much beyond the year 2040.
Shut up! Or replicating a meal, or getting drunk and crying in a pool of her own urine. Wait, forget that part. Anyway, the magical bullshit device gets shut off prematurely before it can show them anything useful, almost as if someone's intentionally blocking it. Whatever could this mean? So they grab diverse female character's phone and fuck around with it for a while, and they realise she'd been calling her twin sister. Let's just call her diverse female character number 2, since they're basically the same person anyway. It seems like diverse female character number 2 is located off-world, and for some reason, Picard looks totally shocked by this, like the concept of interstellar travel is totally mind-boggling for him. You realise you were captain of a starship for like 30 years, right? Meanwhile, diverse female character number 2 is working on a derelict Borg cube that the Romulans are busy salvaging for weapons and drones, and apparently it's considered safe now because everything's been deactivated, but then one of the workers is like, what if they wake up and start attacking us? And the manager is like, nah, it'll be fine. I'm sure this won't come back to haunt them in a later episode. I would not be comfortable working around killing machines that could turn back on at any moment and assimilate me. We also get to watch diverse female character number 2 deconstructing Borg drones. I love how they rip this implant right off the guy's face, and then she's like, you're free now, brother, congratulations. Yeah, great, now he's got one arm and no fucking face. I'm sure he'll be very grateful when he wakes up. Anyway, she catches the eye of weak male scientist, and then they get it on. Why does this guy look like hipster Spock from Star Trek Discovery? Jesus, it's like these characters come off a fucking assembly line. They look more generic than the synthetics in the flashback. Meanwhile, back at Chateau de Picard, our main man's getting ready to go back into space for the first time in like 10 years, but then he gets a visit from his personal doctor, and oh no, it turns out he's dying from, a plot point. Nobody seems to know what it is or how long he has left, but I'm willing to bet it totally won't be relevant until Patrick Stewart wants to be released from his contract. Anyway, so Picard puts on his big boy pants and goes back to Starfleet headquarters to get reinstated, and there's a hilarious scene where this dickhead on the front desk doesn't know who he is, even though he's one of the most famous starship captains who ever lived, and he literally just got done with an incendiary interview that was broadcast all across the Federation. Where have I seen this kind of shit before?
Name?
Bond. James Bond.
Isn't it great when you compromise a character's legacy, dignity, and plain old common sense for the sake of a cheap laugh? God, I love script writing today. But eventually, Picard meets with strong female commander and requests to be temporarily reinstated into Starfleet so he can follow up his leads on diverse female character number 2. And he makes a big impassioned speech like in TNG, to which she says,
Sheer fucking hubris. Fucking hubris.
Guess he needs to check his privilege or something. Damn it, man, you're Jean-Luc motherfucking Picard. You've saved the galaxy more times than Luke Skywalker and the Avengers combined. Why are you letting this Meryl Streep lookalike treat you like some pathetic whipping boy? Why don't you ram your fist through her face and demand she cooperate with you? Or maybe do it the other way around, I don't know. So Picard goes back home feeling sad when brilliant female scientist shows up for some reason and explains that all of diverse female character number 1's records were created just a few years ago to give her a false identity. Wow, thanks for that stunning piece of intel. We never would have guessed that already given everything we already know about the character. Why is this show spelling out things we've figured out already? Speaking of learning things about characters, we also find out that Picard isn't a fan of sci-fi because he just doesn't get it.
Very funny.
Remember what I said about sacrificing common sense for the sake of a cheap laugh? Meanwhile, over at Starfleet headquarters, strong female character number 1 puts a call through to strong female commander number 2 and reports that Picard has been sniffing around. Then the call ends and strong female commander number 2 brings in strong female operative and orders her to take out Picard and find diverse female character number 2. Then Picard gets into an argument with strong female housekeeper about going into space because I guess he needs to check his privilege or something.
Cheeky fuckers.
Feckle!
Then weak male housekeeper suggests he reunite with the rest of the TNG gang, but Picard is like, nah, it'll be fine, because the script says so. I mean, why would you want a bunch of highly trained, highly experienced Starfleet officers that you know you can trust and rely on when you can just go out to some trailer park in the middle of nowhere and meet with strong, diverse female character? That way she can yell at you and tell you to piss off. What is it with this episode? Why are all the strong female characters yelling at Picard and telling him to get lost? More important, why does he keep taking it? Captain Kirk never would have tolerated shit like this. So the episode ends on the Borg cube where we find out weak male scientist is working with strong female operative to get information from diverse female character number 2. Will Picard get there in time to save her? Or more likely, will she save herself and go on to boss Picard around for the rest of the season? Who knows? And to be honest, who really cares? So that's it. That's the plot for episode 2. I said at the start of this video that the episode kind of avoids a lot of the issues that bogged down its predecessor, and that is to its credit, I guess. It's less frantic and disjointed, it doesn't really rely on Matrix fight scenes to keep the pace up, and there are fewer distracting flashbacks with fake looking data. It's very much focused on laying the foundations for the rest of the season, establishing Picard's objective and the people working to stop him, and making it clear he's gonna have to do this without the support or resources of Starfleet. There's a kind of procedural feel to the episode as Picard follows up on leads and runs into dead ends in his search for answers, and it's clear the show's trying to be kind of clever here. I say trying because there's no real thought or resourcefulness put into any of it. Clues can be unearthed with magical bullshit devices, only to run into an arbitrary problem because the script says so, which then gets resolved by a different magical bullshit plot device when the script decides it's time. Whereas the first episode moved too fast, glossing over important details, this one spends too much time spinning its wheels with trivial challenges that do nothing except waste screen time. On the plus side, there's some attempt to explain why the Federation called off its rescue mission for the Romulans, and shed some light on the politics behind the whole thing. And even if it feels kind of forced and contrived, well, at least it's better than what we got in episode 1. Speaking of forced and contrived, wow, I don't think they could possibly have crammed more female characters into this show if they tried. I mean, look at the cast list. There's diverse female characters 1 and 2. Strong female housekeeper, who's also some kind of Irish Romulan former intelligence officer.
Cheeky fuckers.
Strong female commanders 1 and 2, strong female operative, brilliant female scientist, and strong diverse female character. And of course, they're all universally outspoken, self-confident, highly intelligent, expertly trained, competent, assertive, and strong. Because they always have to be strong in shows these days. We can't have them showing any weaknesses or vulnerability. Speaking of which, what exactly do we have to balance out this stunning and brave ensemble? Nope, he's pussy whipped by his sister. Nope, he's pussy whipped by strong female housekeeper. Nope, he's pussy whipped by basically everyone who doesn't have a penis. Ugh. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm all for diverse casting and good representation for women in media, but I don't think it's unfair to expect a bit of balance in this equation. It's no good stuffing your script to the gills with strong female characters if they've got no strong male characters to play off of. And in this case, it all just feels like a little too much, as if the show's overcompensating for a problem that doesn't really exist. Especially considering most of these characters are in military and special forces kind of roles, so it feels counterintuitive that there wouldn't be more men in positions like that. Also, the decision for Picard not to reunite with his former Enterprise crewmates was obviously a conscious one to break this show away from TNG and create its own identity. Because let's be honest, so much awesomeness on screen at once would pretty much overshadow everything else in this show. And while it's kind of admirable to go in a totally different direction instead of relying entirely on member berries, I can't help but feel like this is a wasted opportunity that we'll end up regretting one day. None of the TNG cast are getting any younger, and since they're unlikely to get any more movies, this is pretty much it as far as chances go. As much as it would be total nostalgia and shameless fan service, wouldn't it also be kind of awesome to see Picard and crew go on one final adventure together? Maybe even team up with Janeway and Sisko to defend the Federation one last time before going out in a blaze of glory, the last of their generation.
Sheer fucking hubris.
Fuck off, show. The impression I got from episode 1 was a show that felt like an amalgamation of too many different ideas of varying merits, which didn't really form into a coherent whole. A weird cross between a fast-paced, action-packed crowd pleaser and a lore-heavy piece of fan service that practically demanded strong knowledge of TNG. And to be honest, episode 2 kind of solidifies that opinion. There's heavy hints about a much bigger story behind all of this, and whether or not Picard succeeds will probably depend on whether this big idea actually lives up to the hype it's trying to generate for itself. Overall, I can't say it was the worst way to spend 45 minutes of my life. The cinematography and acting are decent enough, and it does give me the feeling that it's more connected to the TNG universe than the trailers suggested, but Star Trek Picard has still got an uphill battle if it hopes to win me over. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.